You open your eyes in the house at Grimmauld Place, and the first thing you do is force yourself to stand up. Not because standing is easy, because sitting is the alternative, and sitting is what you have been doing for 3 days since the astronomy tower, and 3 days is long enough. Ginny Weasley is dead. Dumbledore is dead. Snape is headmaster of Hogwarts by now, and the Ministry is running the specific way that institutions run when the people running them serve something other than what the institution was built for. 3 days is long enough. You go downstairs and you eat something and you start working. The working helps. It has always helped. The specific forward motion of a problem being addressed is the thing that most consistently interrupts the kind of thinking that leads nowhere. And the thinking that leads nowhere is the thinking you cannot afford right now, because right now there are no days to spend on it. Sirius coordinates the Order remnants from the shadow of this house. The Order is reduced. People have made the calculation that most people make when the risk rises past a certain point, which is the calculation about family and survival and what they owe to a cause that is asking more than they budgeted for. You do not judge these people. You count them as unavailable and adjust the plan accordingly. The plan. Horcruxes. The mission Dumbledore spent a year preparing Harry for and then died before the preparation was complete. You have the pieces. You have the context. You have the notebooks Dumbledore left you, his tactical analysis of magical anomalies, the specific handwriting of someone who thought several moves ahead of everyone around him, and left notes for the person he expected to be reading them. And the reading of them is like a conversation with a man who knew he was going to die and was still thinking about the work. You sit with the notebooks in the evenings when the others are asleep, and you read what he left you, and you think about the shape of what comes next. The extraction from Privet Drive. The Order's plan is 7 Potters. 7 people taking Polyjuice Potion to look like Harry, each flying with an escort, dividing the enemy's attention across 7 decoys. The logic is the logic of someone who hasn't accounted for what Voldemort is now capable of, which is controlling the departure infrastructure of an entire town. You go to Little Whinging in Fox form the night before the planned extraction, 3 hours before dawn. The streets are quiet in the way of residential streets at that hour, empty and still, and you move through them with the specific quality of something small and low to the ground that the darkness doesn't register. You find the first observation post in an hour, the second in 90 minutes. The third is not a post, but a person, Yaxley, standing in a garden 4 houses down from number 4, with the stillness of someone who has been there long enough to become part of the landscape. You count them. You map their positions. You note the gaps. The gaps are not sufficient for 7 groups. The gaps are sufficient for 1. You go back and you tell Sirius and Lupin what you found, and you tell them the plan that accounts for what you found. No decoys, no Polyjuice. A single quiet exit at the 1-hour window when the observation pattern has the lowest density, which is the 3 hours before dawn when the night watch is tired and the day watch has not yet arrived. Sirius and Lupin look at each other. Lupin says, Dumbledore designed the 7 Potters plan. You say, Dumbledore designed it for the information he had. The information has changed. Sirius says, if you're wrong about the gap. You say, I spent 3 hours in the street. I'm not wrong about the gap. They agree. You go at the hour you identified, 4 of you under concealment charms. Harry, Sirius, Lupin, you. Moving through the streets in the specific silence of people who know that the next 30 minutes determine everything. The gap holds. You pass through it and out the other side, and the night receives you and gives you back, and the observation posts never know you were there. Moody is alive because you found the gap in time. You think about this once, briefly, and then put it with the other things you are not going to examine in detail right now. Bill and Fleur's wedding. The burrow before the wedding is the specific chaos of a family that loves each other, demonstrating this love through the medium of organized panic about table settings and flower arrangements and whether the tent is the right size. You move through it with the particular efficiency of someone who is not personally invested in any of the logistical questions and can therefore assist with them without becoming attached to the outcomes. Scrimgeour arrives with Dumbledore's will. You have been thinking about the will since Dumbledore died, specifically about the question of what he would leave to each of you and what the leaving would mean. Dumbledore did not do things without reason. Dumbledore did not leave things without reason either. Scrimgeour reads the bequests with the specific discomfort of a ministry official delivering something he has clearly spent time examining and failed to extract useful information from. Harry gets the snitch from his first catch. Ron gets the Deluminator. Hermione gets the Tales of Beetle the Bard. You get the tactical notebooks. Not described as tactical notebooks in the will, described as personal journals of no strategic significance. You understand the description as the description it was intended to be, which is the description least likely to make Scrimgeour spend time with them. And Scrimgeour has clearly accepted the description, because he hands them over without visible reluctance. You put them in your bag and say thank you, and Scrimgeour looks at you with the expression of someone who suspects he has missed something and cannot identify what. The wedding itself is the specific bittersweet quality of a celebration held in the middle of a war, where everyone is happy about the thing being celebrated and carrying the weight of everything surrounding it simultaneously. The garden, the white flowers, Bill and Fleur, facing each other with the specific clarity of two people who have been through enough together that the ceremony is not the beginning of something, but the formal acknowledgement of something already real. You sit near Hermione and you think about Dumbledore, and his duality, his warmth, and his calculation, the ways he was more than presented and less than legend, the darkness that the old man at the bar describes to Harry with the specific bitterness of someone whose version of a person did not survive contact with the person's full history. You think about the last conversation, the weakened hand, the specific words about how ideal people don't exist, but choices always remain. You stand up and you go to Hermione and you ask her to dance. She looks at you with something in her eyes that she does not fully close off the way she has closed things off before. And she takes your hand and you move slowly in the middle of the garden and you tell her she looks beautiful tonight. And she smiles in the specific way she smiles when something catches her completely without warning, which is warmly and without any of the analysis that normally accompanies her expressions. The Patronus arrives before the song ends. Kingsley's silver links moving through the garden air with the urgency of something that has traveled fast to say what it has to say. The ministry has fallen. Scrimgeour is dead. They are coming. The defensive spells collapse. The Death Eaters arrive in the way that things arrive when they have been held back and suddenly released, with the specific violence of pressure that has been building against a surface that no longer exists. You are already next to Hermione. You take her arm. Harry and Ron are 3 feet away and moving toward you. The 4 of you leave together, and the sound of the wedding becoming something else fades behind you, and the London street arrives around you, and you are in the specific silence of people who just narrowly escaped something and have not yet finished processing what came next. Grimold Place. The house receives you and becomes the center of the operation, the base from which you plan and from which you move, and to which you return when you can. The mission is clear. The path to executing the mission is not clear. This is the specific frustration of the weeks that follow, the gap between knowing what needs to happen and knowing how to make it happen. Harry watches Voldemort's mind through the link in his scar with the specific helplessness of someone receiving information they cannot fully control the reception of. You watch Harry do this, and you do the thing you have always done with information that arrives through unusual channels, which is systematize it. You sit with Hermione in the evenings, and you transcribe what Harry reports, and you look for the patterns in it, where Voldemort's attention goes, what he wants, what he fears, what the shape of his movement tells you about what he knows and doesn't know about your location and your plans. The link is not surveillance. It is more like weather, arriving without requests and carrying information about what conditions are building. You and Hermione in these evenings, over parchment and notes and the specific intimacy of shared work, have moved past the distance you maintained for 2 years and arrived somewhere honest. She falls asleep at the table sometimes, and you put a blanket around her shoulders and look at her face in the candlelight, with the specific feeling of someone who understands that they have been protecting a person from danger by keeping them at a distance, and has understood finally that the distance is its own kind of danger. After the tower, you stopped managing the gap. You don't talk about it with words that name what it is. It is simply present in the way that things become present when 2 people stop pretending they aren't there. Ron watches this with the specific difficulty of someone carrying his own version of a feeling that has no resolution. Lavender Brown is in a world that has moved on from whatever she and Ron were, separated by the war and by the specific incompatibility of what she needed from him and what he had available to give. He is not over it cleanly. The not being over it applies pressure to the situation in the tent and in the camps and in the long days when the mission is not progressing and the waiting is all there is. The Horcrux locket finds all of this and uses it. Natsik Fleischer and the locket. The detective work is the work you have been doing since you understood that Horcruxes were what they were and that finding them required building the picture from its edges. The locket was in Grimmauld Place. You found the reference in Sirius's old inventory notes from the summer he spent clearing the house years ago. It was taken. Fleischer was the person who took things that were taken. Fleischer to Umbridge. Umbridge now in the Ministry distributing Muggle-born registry penalties with a specific enthusiasm of someone who has found official sanction for everything they have always wanted to do. The Ministry operation. You go in as a fox for the preparation stage, moving through the Ministry's lower corridors 2 days before the main operation. The security patterns, the guard rotations, Umbridge's schedule, the specific location of her office, and the specific time she leaves it for committee hearings, which is the time when the office contains the locket and does not contain Umbridge. The operation itself is 4 people and 3 roles. Hermione coordinates. Harry and Ron create the disruption and the distraction. You get the locket. You move through Umbridge's office in fox form, while the Muggle-born committee hearing fills the floor below with the specific noise of institutional cruelty in progress. The locket is in the desk drawer. You open the drawer with a charm small enough not to register on the detection wards, which are calibrated for larger magic, and you take the locket in your teeth and you leave. 2 minutes. The locket is out of the Ministry before Umbridge sits back down. The forests. The Horcrux locket carried in turns. The specific wrongness of an object that contains a piece of a person's soul pressing against whoever carries it, finding the fears that are already present and making them larger and more immediate. It finds Ron's fears about inadequacy and finds them quickly because they are near the surface and have been since before the mission started. The argument builds over days and peaks the night that Ron looks through the tent opening and sees Hermione asleep against your shoulder. And what the locket does to that image is turn it into a confirmation of everything his fear has been telling him. The locket takes what is there and fills it to the edges with interpretation. He leaves. The sound of him leaving is the sound of a zip, and then footsteps, and then nothing. And Hermione wakes up and understands what has happened, and the grief of it is real and immediate, and you hold her through it, because holding her through it is what you can do. You do not fill the absence with false reassurance. You let it be what it is, which is painful, and you stay present in it with her because being present in difficulty is what you have instead of fixing it. The work continues, you and Hermione and Harry, smaller now, moving more carefully. The woods of England in late autumn and early winter receiving you without welcome or rejection. Godric's Hollow. The analysis that leads you there comes from Dumbledore's notebooks and from the specific pattern of Harry's visions and from the logic of where a thing would be hidden if the hiding was done by someone who understood how history works and how it creates landmarks. The Peveril connection, the Hallows symbol, the grave of Ignotus Peveril in the village where Harry's parents were murdered. You are careful about Godric's Hollow in a way that Harry is not careful, because Harry's relationship with the place is the relationship of someone who has a personal history there, and personal history compromises the analytical function. Bathilda Bagshot. You see it before she speaks. Movement without the specific hesitation that living things have when they are navigating their own bodies. The coordination is wrong. Too fluid in some ways and too absent in others. The movement of something that is using a body as a container rather than inhabiting it. You have seen dead things move before, in third year in the forest and in the Department of Mysteries, and the quality of this movement has the same signature. You do not wait for confirmation. The reductor curse hits Bathilda before she can get Harry alone on the stairs, and Nagini comes out of the body with the force and fury of something that was waiting in a prepared position. And you and Harry leave together, and the crack of apparition takes you both before the snake reaches the distance you left between yourselves and it. You come out of it in a field in the dark with Harry's breathing in your ear and your own hands shaking in the way they shake when the reflex has fired and the adrenaline is processing and you are still alive and accounting for the fact of being still alive. The silver doe. You feel it before you see it, in the force-adjacent sense that your animagus work has developed in you, the specific quality of a strong Patronus carrying a purpose. The doe moves through the trees with the intentionality of something that knows where it is going and why, and you follow it to the frozen pool with the specific alertness of someone who understands that something placed in your path has been placed by someone. Harry goes in. You stand at the edge with your wand out, watching the tree line, watching the water, watching the specific quality of the darkness around the pool for anything that the darkness is doing differently from what darkness does. The locket goes for his throat. You are in the water before the thought is fully formed. The cold is the cold of winter water in England, which is the specific cold of something that means it. You get Harry to the edge and the locket to the surface, and Hermione, who had not gone far and has been listening from the trees, is there when you drag him out. Ron comes out of the forest. He comes out of the forest like someone who has been moving toward a thing they left and is not sure of their reception, and is coming anyway because the alternative is not coming. He looks at you and at Harry and at Hermione and then at the locket. Hermione is cold and controlled and says nothing she will not mean. You say, the sword is frozen in the pool. Can you get it? He gets it. He destroys the locket with the sword in the specific way that Horcrux destruction works, through complete destruction of the container, and what comes out of it when the destruction happens is the specific worst version of Ron Weasley's fears, made into sound and image and aimed directly at him. He holds the sword anyway. The three of you stand around him afterward, and the night is cold, and the locket is gone, and the absence of the specific weight it put on everything is immediately present in its own way. Luna Lovegood's father. Xenophilius Lovegood opens the door with the face of a man who has not slept properly in weeks, and who is carrying something that has made him smaller in the way that fear of the specific kind that threatens the people you love makes people smaller. He tells you about Luna before he tells you anything else. How they came for her because of the Quibbler. How they said they would keep her as long as he was useful. How he knows what she thinks of Harry, knows the depth of the connection between them through the letters, knows that she would rather he not betray them, and how he cannot make himself betray them anyway because Luna's opinion of him is the thing he has organized his life around. He is trying to warn you in the specific roundabout way of someone who cannot say directly what they mean because the walls might report it, and you understand this and you begin moving before the theoretical warning becomes a practical emergency. The Snatchers arrive before you are fully out. You feel them on the stairs through the magic that has always told you things about spaces and people before the visual information arrives. You go out the window. Luna is in Malfoy Manor. This information arrives with the weight of something that is both a problem and a direction. You do not need to have the conversation about whether you are going to go there because the conversation is unnecessary. You are going there. The question is how. The Snatchers in the woods outside Wiltshire. There are 6 of them, and they find you in the way patrols find people when the patrols are thorough, and the people they find have been moving through contested terrain without sufficient information about the patrol patterns. Harry and Ron are taken before the situation can be managed differently. You and Hermione are in the trees to the south. You stun 3 of them in 8 seconds, not combat magic. Silencing charms first so the spells make no sound, then the stunners. Then you are beside Hermione with the specific urgency of someone who has 3 seconds before the other 3 Snatchers notice their companions are silent. You take a hair from each of the unconscious men. You had polyjuice in your bag because you have been carrying polyjuice in your bag since the Ministry operation. Because the Ministry operation demonstrated that polyjuice is worth having, and you do not require an argument twice. 2 minutes later, 2 Snatchers walk through the gates of Malfoy Manor with the specific bearing of people who belong there, which you have been watching for the last 3 hours from the tree line. The Manor's Great Hall is the Great Hall of a house that was built to communicate a specific thing about the people who built it, which is that they consider themselves significant and want the architecture to confirm this. Bellatrix Lestrange is conducting the kind of interrogation that Bellatrix conducts, which is comprehensive and enthusiastic and completely disconnected from any concern about what the interrogation costs the person being interrogated. Sirius and Dobby come from below before Bellatrix finishes what she is doing. You feel the magic of Dobby's apparition through the floor, and you know what it means, and you time the move to the moment when the sound from the basement is loudest. You drop the polyjuice and you hit Bellatrix with everything that goes through you in the moment of acting, which is the accumulated weight of everything she has done to the people you care about, and the specific focus of someone who has been waiting for this exact position. The disarming spell takes her off her feet, and her wand goes into the wall and she lands hard. Hermione takes Narcissa Malfoy's wand from her hand in the same second. It almost works. The knife leaves Bellatrix's hand in the moment before Dobby has you all in his grip, and the trajectory of it is close, and you cannot close the distance in time. And the blade catches Hermione's arm, and she cries out, a sharp, honest sound. And then Dobby takes you all, and Shell Cottage arrives. The sand, the sound of the sea. Hermione sitting on the beach with her arm and her eyes wet, and you beside her, with your hands doing the work of stopping the bleeding, and your chest doing the work of processing what just happened, in the specific way that chests process things, after operations that almost went further wrong than they went. Harry is sitting with Luna 20 feet away on the beach. You can see them from where you are, his arm around her and her face against his shoulder, and the sea making the sound the sea makes. Sirius is alive. Dobby is alive. Hermione is hurt but present, and the hurt is the kind that heals. The locket is gone, the cup must be next. And beyond the cup, whatever is in Hogwarts. And beyond Hogwarts, whatever Snape has been protecting there all this year. Hermione lets you finish with her arm, and then she leans her head against yours, and you stay like that for the length of time the situation allows, which is not very long, and which is enough. That is what it means to be the one who plans and watches and calculates. You spend the year one step ahead of the thing, trying to reach you. You find the gaps before the gaps close. You get the people you love out of the rooms before the rooms become dangerous. Most of the time. Sometimes the knife still lands, the work continues. Subscribe, because part 2 starts at Shell Cottage and ends somewhere neither of you can see from here.